Hey everyone, so today is Frankenskates episode 9. Yesterday I couldn't help myself, I'm so sorry. I did do a little practice run of sticking the shearling, Sherpa, Fleece to one of my skates just to see how it went, so I wouldn't be faffing around today. So I will include that footage in this video somewhere. And I'll show you what I've done so far. I've still got to finish that pair, so I'll still show you that, and then we're going to do the other one of that pair, that skate, and then I'll do the other one on camera today and explain what I'm doing with them. So this one is pretty much done. I have relaced it. I even tried it on for the first time, guys. So that's pretty cool. So I've got this fleece on here. I know it's overlapping a little bit. I might trim it down a little bit more. It was dark when I did it. But I do want it to be slightly bigger than the tongue anyway, just so it looks fluffier. And then I've done the cuff, so where I stuck it was around the actual natural cuff on the skate, just to make sure it's in place. And then I'm going to go in today, you can kind of see there, that's where I glued it to. And then today I'm going to go ahead and glue it down so it's completely stuck. One thing I didn't think about when I was doing this is that because I want it where the tongue hangs down, I didn't really think about what you can see once your foot is in there. So I kind of wish I'd gone further into the boot with the shearling, but I was concerned about that. So I don't know, maybe that's something I can add later on, but for now this is how it's going to be. And I still think they look super cute, even though you can kind of see the insides a little bit, but you'll see what I mean when I try them out. So for today we have this one, which is completely untrimmed, unstuck, and I'm going to go ahead and crack into it. Okay, so I've lowered the camera a certain amount. Hopefully you can see okay. I'm just in like old clothes in my robe because I don't want to get glue on everything. So first thing I got to do is take off the laces. Man, I should not have tried these laces out right before I set them. I've got all kinds of dye on these now. I don't know if Vanish might work if I washed them and try to get it out, but if not, like they're fine for now. Maybe at some point I'll buy some more. These actually were a free pair of laces that were sent to me by accident by Roller Girl Gang, and this is like my first order ever, and they just said I could keep them, so that was very kind of them, and they've been super useful for this project. And it's not terrible. I mean, they're gonna get dirty anyway, so I shouldn't really be that upset. It's like, oh, it's just done. It would be nice if I hadn't have got dye on them like a moron. Anyway, let me just get this done. I should have done that before I started recording. Okay, so what I did last night, obviously I'm just taking this off for now. And because they did shrink a little bit in the dry wash dye cycle that I did on these, they don't go down quite into the boot, which is actually fine. I noticed last night. I think if I'd done that, it would be a little bit too tight around the toe. So actually I'm really happy that's a happy accident that occurred there. So first thing I did yesterday, and you gotta be so careful, it says to use a spatula, and I understand why now because it's really runny, but I don't have a spatula to use, so I'm gonna go ahead and do what I did last night and hope I don't make a hella big mess. It says to coat both sides of the fabric, but that really isn't needed on here. And this glue is really strong. And this is just pocket fabric glue. And it cost me, I think, £2 for 2 of these. And there's plenty here. So once you've started sticking it, you're going to want to push. It says to push for 5 minutes. But I ain't messing around with that. So like for every little bit. Oh, this could have been straighter, I think. That's fine. So I'm just going to push for a minute. And then I'm going to start on the front part of it. And then I push a bit more afterwards. Yes, just to push for 5 minutes, and then after half an hour, the glue will be completely dry. So now I'm just going to fold that part back to where I glued it to before, or roughly thereabouts. And then place glue far enough away from the edge so it doesn't start leaking out, because when you push it down, it's going to spread a bit. So we don't want it to go on the outside of the skate. And then I'm going to put a bit more in the center, just to make sure it's all stuck down. And now we push. Yeah, it's looking good. I'm happy with that. But placement is fine. Okay, so this back end is already stuck. Mostly anyway. This front end is struggling. So I'm just going to leave that gently for now and come back to it in a bit to press and trim some more. And then we're going to start moving on to the cuff, which is the hardest and part that makes me want to sweat. So stressful. So luckily where I'd folded it before was pretty much perfect how I wanted it. It gives me a little triangle cuff on the side. I don't think they're perfectly even, but no one can really see that when you're skating, or even when you take pictures, because you can't show every single side at the same time. So I think that's close enough in my opinion. I'm happy with that. First thing I'm going to do is what I did last night. So very careful because I've got the tongue here, which is still slightly wet. This is the scary bit. It leaks so much. So I am going to, I think I did the inside first yesterday, which was harder, although it does match up better, I think. But I'm going to go in on the outside today, and I'm going to bring it halfway around the boot to like the heel area and push. And then I think, yeah, there's definitely more fabric on the other side coming down. So let's just try and pull this back a bit more. Less on the inside, more on the outside. Get that matched up a bit better. This glue is actually coming through at the back here. It's a bit of shearling, must be a bit thinner there. Getting glue on my fingies. Okay, so I think that looks quite good. Match up wise, I'm happy with that. Let's go ahead and do the other side. Hopefully the glue won't stick to this old sheet underneath me, because that's leaking through. And do the same on the other side so it matches up all the way around. And I'm going to push this for a few minutes just to make sure it's in place before I start fiddling with it more. That's why the cuff's so scary. It's a bit easier with the tongue, but the cuff is a bit trickier. Another reason why I didn't really want to bring it all the way inside the boot. But maybe that's something I can do later. Maybe just dye more fleece. It probably won't come out the same colour, but I don't know. We'll decide. We'll decide. Okay, so now the hardest part is actually getting on the inside of the boot. And I think what I'm going to do is do things a little bit different to how I did it yesterday. Because yesterday I started dripping it into the boot. So today I'm going to actually put the glue onto the inside of the shearling, which is annoying because it's already picking up loads of hairs. And then I'm just going to put a bit of glue on the inside cuff of the skate itself. And then we're going to fold it back down. Ugh, this glue is so ready, and it really does come through the fleece. Didn't do this last night, so I guess it's just this piece of fleece that's got a bit, there's a bit that's thinner in it. I don't think I'm using any more glue than I did yesterday. And I did it in the dark yesterday. I didn't have these issues. There's a little bit of glue at the top there. It's come through. Okay, so while that's just setting for a bit, I'm going to go back in on the other boot that I did yesterday, because there's just a little bit more to do on here. So this is all stuck down where I just stuck on that one. So now I'm just going to stuck down this last little area. I'm going to go in onto the fleece just like I did a minute ago. So I don't want this to get on to, I don't want to misjudge it and get it on the boot. So I'm just going to do like 3, I don't know if you can see it, like diagonal strips there. And I'm just going to lay it down neatly just behind the eyelets and push. Okay. And do the other side. It's quiet today. Everyone's gone out to play basketball. Okay, same deal. Push, 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 push. And then that should be the cuff. Nicely stuck down. And this skate is pretty much done. I've just got to change the toe stops. I would like to get jam plugs eventually for these, but I'm going to put toe stops in them for now because I don't have any bolt-on jam plugs for them. And I'm going to put some green ashtray nuts on them. And then it should be completed. I should buy some green bushings or something. That'd be pretty cool. Anyway, let's move on to the other one. So the glue that was coming through, that's dried up a bit. Yeah, so this is all looking how it should do now. It's feeling quite stuck. So I'm going to start on the trim job. Now the trim, I noticed, is a bit tricky to do from when I did my golden horse ones. If you do it at a weird angle, it's going to look weird depending on how you want it to be seen. So I want it to be seen this way. So I need to cut it from this angle so that it stays nice and neat, which is really hard. It's not easy to do. And that's another reason why I'm leaving it slightly bigger than the tongue. This looks a bit neater. Yeah, this side was a little bit shorter than the other one. But I can probably stick that down a bit more and stretch and that'll be fine. All these things we done when I fine tune it all once they're completely sorted. You just got to be careful basically with the angle of your scissors when doing this to make sure you don't chop it in the wrong direction so that you end up seeing more of the base of the shearling, like this underside, than the top. You want to cut it down like this. I learnt my lesson last time when I did the GH skates. There's a little bit on the side that looks strange like that where it was this awkward angle and I just cut it how it's comfortable for me. But when you're doing this, you got to do what's right for the material, not what's comfortable for you to do. Right, these inside bits are a bit easier because they're actually going to be tucked inside the skate when you lace it. So this bit is not so imperative to get right because you literally do not see it. But I'm still going to cut it from the same direction. Ah, I'm not left-handed. Oh, it's so hard. It's so hard. Right, okay. Just make sure you don't cut that tongue. Hopefully I still stayed on good angle. Yes, it looks fine. So I'm just going to trim up a little bit more around here. Maybe just a little bit more here to avoid any extra puffing around that part of my skate. Because these Candy Girl skates, when I try them on, they are actually quite tight around the front of my foot. I think I have a wider foot than what these skates accommodate for. So that's why I've done the laces up a little bit different on this one. Okay, so this, I believe, is stuck in. I'm going to leave it a bit like this, like I did last night. It actually put some weight on the tongue and kept it kind of in this position, which is what I want it in when I'm skating. And it also gives them a bit more time to dry, because it does say half an hour for it to be fully set. So it's still like tender right now, as it were. Tentatively placed. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clip some of this fleece. I don't want this to get stuck back on the skate anyhow. Ugh. Right. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the other part of the fleece like I did a minute ago. And then we should be done. Just got to dry it and lace them up. But I'll probably do that in the next video when I do all the final touches, because this one's already getting a bit long. Okay. I think this must be one more episode of Frankenskates, guys. 10 episodes. Kind of perfect. This one doesn't quite go quite as far back over the eyelets. It's really minimal difference, but yeah, I like it that you can still see the eyelets, but it slightly covers them a little bit more than the other boot, but it's no biggie. It really isn't that much of a difference. It's just me being picky. Okay, and then finally this last little bit. Oh, this is getting nasty. Push, 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 push. On the other one, there was a little bit of shilling that popped out here. So when it was on the side, you could see it poking out. So I trimmed that off. So I'm just looking now to make sure nothing like that is occurring on this skate, which is not, I think, because it's actually been placed slightly off from the other one, but it's such a minor thing. And it's done. So I'm going to get back to you once these are all laced up and maybe even try them on. Oh, I don't know. I feel like I should like wait to try them both on until they're completely done. I don't know. Oh, sorry, burping. Bye.